This is the way nightmares begin, or perhaps end. Very simple, direct, unadorned.
The group is beginning to assemble. They have already been prepared.
It is happening again. It is happening again.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the little spot in my kitchen I like to stand in to record the Videotapes Story Vault. Certainly glad to have you back. Always excited to have you back with another short story. This, man, yeah, it's a good one. Got me a little emotional working on it. So, yeah, let's see if we can get those tear ducts working for you. This is The Final Hours of Mr. Uderlicker. Uderlicker. Sorry, this is serious. The Final Hours of Mr. Uderlicker. On the morning of September the 5th, 1979, Walter Uderlicker woke with the complete understanding that he would be dead by sunset. He knew it by the stillness of the air, the slowly rising weight on his fragile chest, and even the rain slowly tapping against the round bedroom windows outside. The more he listened to the slow, creaky silence of the room, the more sure he felt. Walter Uderlicker would be dead in less than 24 hours. Lesser men, when faced with such news, would spend their final hours in a full-speed panic. Instead of scrambling painfully to his feet, however, Walter instead reaches for the small remote nestled between the blankets. With the small device in his hands, Walter raises the bed slowly into a recliner position. Ahead of him, two window-like eyes show the whole world on a rain-soaked spin cycle. Smiling as if he has never seen such a sight in his life, Walter watches with newfound awe. How beautiful it is here in the master bedroom. How beautiful it is out there in the wet and wild world of Toronto, Canada. What will we do today? Walter wonders as he watches the world go by. Give Helen a call? Go down to the picture house? A younger Walter teases from somewhere far away. Of course not, an older Walter retorts. The constant straight man to his childish desires. They never have anything worth watching, anywho, the old man pouts. Both Walters, young and old, pout together. Then what exactly am I going to do? Then, all at once, the answer seems obvious. Walter would go and make himself some breakfast. Getting out of bed and into his wheelchair happens slowly and painfully. So full of his new excitement, Walter climbs into the chair in record time and heads for the elevator. Some music. What we really need is some music, the Walter that was demands. No problem. No problem at all. When the elevator doors open with a quiet whoosh, Walter wheels towards the living room and the record collection stored there. Surrounding his tiny television is a wall of carefully stored records looming over him. Just looking at his collection, Walter could feel the potential energy of every song. For an occasion like this one, only the perfect record would do. But with so many to choose from, Walter feared he may be sitting here all day. Okay, think. The greatest record of all time. David Bowie? Fleetwood Mac? Hell, why not a shot of Pat Benatar? A good collection of maybes, but nothing feels perfect. For a little while longer, Walter wondered like this in silence. What finally got him back to reality was a small pile of unopened records on the easy chair to his left. When Walter was first diagnosed, his only son David would bring him a small stack of new records every time he came to visit. From the unopened stack, Walter would separate a few that looked interesting and leave the rest on his easy chair forever. With a wheelchair in full use, nobody seemed to miss the old armchair too much anyway. Pivoting to the reject pile, Walter picked up the first album. On the front of this record, a blonde bombshell stood wedged between two British-looking blokes. In big yellow swirl text above the three of them was the name of the group, Blondie. Small red text in the top left corner gave Walter the album title, Eat to the Beat. The flip side was less interesting than the front. It was another rectangular photo of British kids over a white grid backdrop. Cheap Euro trash. Probably, young Walter scolded. Blondie can blow me. An older, wiser Walter couldn't help but cringe at his own ignorance. Wasn't Pat Benatar just chick stuff too? Removing the thin plastic wrap carefully, Walter removed the record and placed it gently onto the player. Although his hands were shaky, the record made it undamaged. Sending the needle to begin its work, Walter closed his eyes and prepared to be amazed. With his eyes closed, Walter listened to the quick double-time tapping of drumsticks before he was suddenly launched into a cheery, fun-loving guitar. A school's out, start of the summer kind of song that makes Walter think of skinny dipping by moonlight and cheap beers by the dozen. He thinks of his son David running down the beach at full speed and crashing in the surf. Wheeling his way towards the kitchen, Walter hums along to the beat. What a perfect song, he considers as the chair comes to a stop in front of the fridge. I'm so grateful I got to hear it. Even just this once. Waiting for him in the fridge, Walter finds nothing remarkable. A good-sized collection of meal supplement shakes, an almost empty jug of expired milk, and all the condiments Walter would never again use. What a waste, Walter mumbled to himself. I wonder who will take everything away after I'm gone. David, maybe? Of course it would be David, and thank God for that. David's a good kid. Before Walter could mumble any longer, he turned away from the fridge and towards the yellow phone clinging to the wall. The urge to call his son suddenly felt impossible to ignore. After dialing the number by memory, Walter waited for David to pick up. One ring, then silence. 2 rings, then silence. Halfway through the 3rd ring, David answers, sounding out of breath. Uderlicker residence, this is David speaking. How can I help you? David asked professionally. Davy? It's your father calling, Walter explained slowly. Dad, is everything okay? What's going on? David asked nervously. Nothing's going on. I just wanted to hear your voice, Walter lied. David sighed with relief. Okay, good. No Clara today? David asked. Nah. She's a great help, don't get me wrong, but I still like to wipe my own ass sometimes, you know, Walter teased. They laughed together briefly and wonderfully. How's that asshat Collins? Still in charge? Walter asked. Dad, Collins has been dead for 3 years now. You know that, David scolded. I know, Walter admitted. I just love hearing you say it. Miserable old fucker, Walter spat. David laughed for a final time. Seriously, though, Dad, is Everything okay? I'm just fine, Walter said honestly. I was just listening to one of the records you left me and thinking about you. Hope you and Deb are doing all right. Good to know you still think about me from time to time, David teased. Which record was it? Moody Blues? Nah, Walter spat. Some bottled blonde from the UK. I think her name was Brandy. You mean Blondie? David laughed. Oh, yeah, that's it. Blondie. Kind of looks like your mother in her prime, Walter said, smiling. You wish, David teased. David, can I tell you something? Walter asked, sounding smaller than he was. Anything, David told him at once. Well, I don't really know how to explain it, Walter admitted, feeling childish. Just do the best you can. Debbie won't be home for at least another 30 minutes at least, David encouraged. Still, Walter didn't know where to start. I just wanted you to know how much I love you, David. Forever and ever. Just like your mother did. I'm so proud of the man you've become. On the other line, David was sitting in stunned silence. Faintly, Walter could hear someone clearing their throat. Dad, I'm sorry. Sorry? Sorry for what? Walter demanded. David had no easy answer. Well, don't be, 'cause I'm not sorry in the slightest, Walter said soothingly. I can be there tomorrow night if I leave by today, David pleaded suddenly. I'm sorry I haven't been there more. It's just no time for feeling sorry now, Davy. Looking after me isn't your job anyway, Walter explained. But you're okay, right? Everything is fine? David pleaded, trying to sound less scared than he was. I'm 65 years old, Davy. 65 with lung cancer to boot, Walter said passively. I'm as good as I'll ever get, Walter added. Dad? Yes, Walter answered cautiously. I'm gonna miss you when you're gone, David said simply. It was Walter's turn to clear his throat. I'm gonna miss you too, Walter said. You were always a good kid, even when you weren't. Before David could find the words to respond, Walter could hear the faint sound of a door opening and keys jangling. Hi, honey. I'm on the phone with Dad, David called to his wife. Hi, Debbie, Walter said loudly. He says hi. And I say hi right back. When you get a minute, David, could you help me with the groceries? Deb asked politely. Even without seeing his face, Walter could feel his son's disappointment. Go help that poor woman, Walter insisted. It was nice chatting with you. It sure was, Dad. I'm sorry, David mumbled. Enough I'm sorries, Walter interrupted. Please. I love you, kid. I can't wait to see you again, Walter said with a smile. See you later, alligator, the old man finished before hanging up the phone. In the living room, Blondie was still singing, blissfully unaware of what had just happened. Bulletproof vest, shatterproof glass, overdrive, we're gonna pass. Oh, time bomb, greasy mob, countdown, hurry up, come on. Brandy, or whatever her name was, had one hell of a voice. Definitely chick stuff, though, Walter chuckled. Helen would have loved it. Danced to it, even, twirling like Venus in one of her deep blue evening dresses. They would have danced together, laughing and crying and laughing all over again. Ahead of him, Walter now had less than 8 hours to live. As for what waited for him on the other side, Walter hadn't the slightest clue. Reincarnation wouldn't be so bad, to return as some great heron or bald eagle. But if Walter was ever whatever the hell he wanted, where the grass is greener, the only thing Walter would ever ask for was Helen. Helen, slowly twirling in her deep ocean dress. Helen, laying silently beside him every morning and every night. Helen, holding their son to the sky and kissing his small red cheeks. When the time finally came for Walter to pass on, Walter hoped he would wake up right back here in the living room.